Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Newsgram. If you read the description of this episode, then you know you're in for a spiritual experience today. Annie Lean is an author. She comes from a very small town just outside Toronto, and while we are both in very different places in the world, we share a common sentiment.
The cry for peace. You know, my heart's always been that for a cry for peace, because the world needs it.
It sure does, and hopefully we can bring some of that today. There are wonderful things happening all the time in our world today, but it can be hard to appreciate them because we're so overwhelmed with the negativity, and because, well...
people are people.
Exactly. People are people. We are who we are. We are complex organisms characterized mainly by our capacity for thought, emotion, communication, and social interaction. How's that for a forensic explanation? Anyway, we are all made in the image of God, but we possess free will, and we can make our own choices. And no matter how hard some people try, they can never take that away from you.
I'm just like, but that cry in my heart is still there for that peace, that people can come together and live their lives and allow others to live their lives and not try to overrule other people. Control, I guess is the word.
Yeah, it's a tall order. But Annie is doing her part by writing poetry. Her book is called Poems of Divine Power, and in it there are roughly 117 very powerful poems designed to uplift and inspire. And before we get into all of that too deep, I want to share with you the inspiration for all of this, her literal come to Jesus moment.
I'm going to give a little testimony. I was on death's door, and I had a prayer of forgiveness, and my heart became light. And through that, I started a healing process. They had me down. I had 30 to 40% functioning of my kidneys, and they had given up on me. And I was only in my 40s. I was laying on the bed this one day, just asking the Lord to help me. And all of a sudden, I felt His presence, as they say. I felt this beautiful, beautiful presence. And I felt strengthened. And I said, I want three things. And one was to be healed. One, to see the mountains. I'd never seen mountains up close. And to live a little longer, to see my children and grandchildren. So anyways, I turned around and I got up. And for the first time, I had strength in a long time. And I could make supper without tiredness. And then I went to a church service. And then I came back home. And from day by day, I started to get stronger. And then I was led to a naturopath, he's still my friend to this day. He's 30 years we've known each other. And through the prayers and through me being led there, I am now 100% functioning in my kidneys. And doctors are amazed because when they take my blood to check your blood, they can't believe it because I had high cholesterol, diabetes, all this stuff. And now I'm clear.
We've done other podcasts on this phenomenon, and they're not always from a spiritual point of view, but it does happen. People are healed from life-threatening illnesses all the time, and there's no scientific explanation as to why, but it's definitely happening. Is it a miracle? Is it a coincidence? Well, you have the free will to make your own choice and make your own decision about that. But Annie gives credit to Jesus, and she says the only way we can truly find peace is by having a relationship with Him. So she wrote this poem about it.
So we're going to do the cry of peace, for peace. Poems of Divine Power from page 4, just page 4. It's on page 4. There's a sign of peace upon the horizon, a dove in flight. As I walk throughout our city, I pray for God's might, that all His people within His sight will open their hearts to His burning light. I have hope within me as I truly sought for unity to come throughout the world without a thought, something that our ancestors before us fought, and what the wars should have taught. Oh Lord, where's the peace for your nations? Your children cry out in great desperation. They don't understand about your domination, that all must turn to you because you are their sensation. that you are our Father and will forgive all, that there'll be a great healing and then a call, and I truly suspect it won't be dull. Certainly there will be a stillness then, all bended knees shall fall.
Annie Leen is an ordained minister, so she's no stranger to communicating with people. And you feel that at the end of each poem where she talks about where the poems come from, the date, the theme, the inspiration for them. It's not a sermon, but it does help convey the ultimate message of the poem.
My heart cries for people who do not have peace. I look at the people today with drug and alcohol. It's running rampant, with hate and anger and confusion, not knowing what to do. There's no answers for them. And that's where my heart is, for the lost, for those who need consoling, need hope, and need encouragement. And that was always my forefront. Even when I was a child, I always had tears for those who were helpless, and there was no one there to help.
That's really the root of who she is, a compassionate person using her free will to share a message of hope and peace to literally anyone who cares to hear it. It's a message that she says came from God.
And then I heard from within myself with this voice saying, you meditate on the Word, and when you finish each book or each chapter of the Bible, you will receive a poem. And it did. It all came forth. Every time I finished the book, the chapter or a book of the Bible, a poem would come.
And there you have it. Divine Inspiration, available now in the form of 2 different books of poetry, Poems of Divine Power and Poems of Divine Power 2, a gift from Annie Leen to a complicated world in need of hope, peace, and a friendly reminder of a core Christian belief in God's love for humanity. John 3:16.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. It's a love story, and I want people to realize that if you have nothing to hope for, nothing to hang on to, Jesus Christ came to save us. When I grasped onto this, John 3:16, it became the foundation of these books, because it's the love that you have in your heart from him that brings you into hope, encouragement, love, and anything else that you need. And that's what I want people to know.
If this sounds like something you'd like to explore a bit further, there are links to the books in the show's notes, as well as links to some other interviews where you can hear Annie Leen reading poems and sharing her inspiration. And that will do it for this edition of Newsgram from WebTalkRadio.com.